Well, hello, and welcome to something new that I'm trying so that I can talk a little bit more about what makes me happy. My name is Sabrina. I have an Instagram account under Sabrina Justine, and then I have my Ravelry account as well. I've been considering doing this for a really long time because I have so many things to talk about, ideas that I have, mainly just to talk about how much I love knitting and wool and all of that, slower fashion and things like that. And so I thought this would be a really good way to meet like-minded people. Today I have a couple of things I wanted to talk about. To start, I'll just talk a little bit about, why, how I got into knitting and what brought me here to this point. So I first started knitting when I was probably about 15 years old, but it never really went beyond just like a basic garter scarf. I don't even think I totally understood like what a purl was. I just knit, and like a circular needle was so extremely daunting. I did have one, but I had no idea how to use it. I knit a lot of really big scarves on really big needles, and that was just all I knew. And I didn't really have, there wasn't a community that was accessible to me. This was 2005 probably, and so the internet was present, and I'm sure that if I had sought them out I would have found something, but there wasn't a lot available to me living out in the middle of nowhere, which brings me to my next point. I grew up in the redwood forests of Northern California, and so we were very remote. I moved around a lot before we landed there when I was in 4th or 5th grade, which would be 9 or 10. But then we lived out there for the next decade in the forest, and it was a beautiful little town, very close to the ocean, so we had everything. I mean, I was really blessed to have a childhood that was so steeped in nature. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that, and I do think that it's taken a huge part of who I am today. And my love for nature, my love for being outside, my love for appreciating these things. So yeah, and I think that shows too in what I knit. And yeah. Anyway, I actually do have a pattern, a shawl that I wrote that was called Occidental Shawl, and that one, the whole premise of that shawl was just me thinking about what it was like to be cozy in front of a fireplace and storming outside, and the power might be out, but it was okay because it was just so content. I wanted that shawl to be something that you could just put on your shoulders, be protected, be comforted, and it was really just it's a comforting piece for me. So yeah, so moving on from that, when I started knitting again, I was probably in my mid to late 20s. I'm 30 now, and I had my daughter at that point. She was a couple years old, and I was home a lot more, and I just wanted something to fill in the evenings when I wasn't studying. I just needed something that was relaxing and like a meditative thing, and knitting is just perfect for that. I mean, as you all know, it's like row by row, you kind of just work through thoughts in your head, feelings from your day. It forces you to sit down and take stock of your day, which I really love. It's like therapy. And I found this community. I found Ravelry, and then I found this community on Instagram of all these amazing knitters doing things that I had no idea was even an option. Like, I was literally just making beanies with bulky yarn on big needles, and which is awesome, but it was all I knew. And then I saw these sweaters, these colorwork yokes, and these beautiful shawls and the socks. Oh, the first time I knit a sock, it was so intense, but I was so proud when I did it. I was like, this is it. I need to know more. And then from then on, it just totally exploded, where I had to try every new technique I could. I found a bunch of accounts that really inspired me. Sorry, I was rambling. So back to it. And then when I started knitting again, I saw these amazing things that people were doing, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. Let's see. Talked about that. So moving aside from the past, some things that I am doing now. Hold on. Some things I'm working on right now. I have my Boris project bag from the Blue Rabbit house, and he's my friend. He comes places with me all the time. He's just so special to me. So it has leaf stuff on it because I took it to the park. I'm just doing a vanilla sock, and it's in the Fjord Fibers. Oh, I can't remember the colorway right now, but it's really beautiful. It's like a heathered navy blue color. I think it's Night Storm. I think that's what it's called. It's really a gorgeous, it's wool. Now it does have the nylon or the polyamide in it, but that I feel like is okay for me. I know some people don't like that, and that's totally cool. I totally get that, but really pretty. So it's just the vanilla sock, and it's almost like a palette cleanser between more complicated things or between things that I'm designing, which is kind of where I've leaned more towards lately, is more designing. All right, we'll put this guy back in Boris so that we don't use our place. This is also very good car knitting for when my fiance is driving and then I have something to do. All right, and then my other very favorite project bag. I mean, look at it. Isn't he so beautiful? This is from lovely Harriet Wildwood Stitches. I'm going to link all these at the bottom. This project bag also, I mean, they're both so well made. Like, the quality is just stunning. And I mean, look at his little face. I love him to pieces. And in here, I have something I've been working on for a really long time, and I know that this is one of those projects that I'm going to keep with me for a really long time and just chip away at, but I really love having that because then they always say, like, you don't want a project to end. Well, here it is, the project that won't end. So it's, I haven't done very much. It's the Hyldebaer shawl from Fibertales, and I'm using this really beautiful wool. I'm gonna get one of these skeins down here from Wool and Twine, who is one of my absolute favorite natural dyers. She has really beautiful wool. I mean, look at that. This is the colorway, oh, Celine? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's really, I mean, and it has a fluff to it. It's hard to explain, but like the spin of the wool, maybe you can see it here. It just has this, well, you can't really see on my camera, but it has a beautiful spin to it. And whenever it knits up, it creates the most airy, it's like lofty, but also warm. I mean, the warmth I'm gonna get out of this, I feel is gonna be really beautiful. And just that color, it's gorgeous wool. Highly, highly, highly recommend. So, and you see I'm working on just the body of the shawl right now. My little mini baubles. So that's something that will probably be my friend for quite some time. I'm not somebody who, like, I don't pick a bunch of, I'm not a fast knitter. I like to really live with the project for a while. That means that sometimes I get frustrated and I don't finish things. But I like to just take my time and have a project. Like I said, I like to have them be my friend and be a part of my life for quite some time, because part of what I love about knitting is that it is a part of your life, of your personality, who you are. And then when you have a finished project, you can think, like, look back on what you were doing when you were knitting it. Like this one that I'm wearing, it's a little bit felty. I've been wearing it a lot. I basically live in it. Hold on. Is the Morgan cardigan. Probably has cat hair on it. I have a lot of cats. And I knit it in the Gilead in caramel. And this sweater, it exists every day in my life. I don't think that I've gone a day without wearing this beautiful sweater since I knit it. So beautiful pattern. Really, really recommend that. Absolutely. Oh, and if you're interested in tea, I brought this in so I can show you. This is what I'm drinking today. It's Stress Suppress from the Republic of Tea. I have a lot of loose leaf teas, but I really like this brand because you can purchase a tin and then refill it, so you don't have to buy a new tin all over again. Let's see. Another thing that I am currently working on that is a really big source of joy for me, and like just thinking about finishing this sweater and wearing it, I just get really excited. I'm going to be pretty transparent about my designs because, I mean, it took me a lot of learning to get to this point, and it was learning that I basically have taught myself. I feel like if you want to design your own knit garments, that I'm happy to share this information personally. I mean, every designer does it differently. So unless it's like something that's a secret because of the yarn dyer or a company or something like that, that's different. But when it's a design that I'm knitting for myself, like, I don't know, I do show a little bit more. I probably won't show absolutely everything just to keep it interesting, but I'm going to show you a lot of stuff. So, put my basket down here. I have the most beautiful unspun wool from Hyldebaer, which is a Swedish mill. This light is not doing it justice. It is just, oh God. I mean, I feel like this is going to take me forever to knit with because I keep stopping and just shoving my face in the wool because it's like the best thing ever. It's really beautiful, and you can smell like the sheepiness, and just beautiful to work with. So I'm knitting with 2 strands of this, with 1 strand of the knitting for all of soft silk mohair in oat, and I think they really complement each other really well. I mean, it's not the interesting thing about this is it's like beigey, but it verges more for the like taupe beige. It's not it's hard to explain, but the coloring of this oat, I really think, is just, it enhances the colors that are in the Nutiden. It doesn't like cover it. Sometimes if you use mohair, it can sort of, if it has a color to it, it can take over the color of your main yarn. That's not happening here, which is what I'm really happy about. It's almost like a translucent, it creates like a translucent warm sheen on top of this. So a little bit idea of what I'm doing right now. I'm using a technique that's an Estonian technique, an inlay technique. I believe it's pronounced ruusitud or ruusmin. I'm not totally sure. I'm trying to pronounce it as accurately as I can, but it's something that they do in that part of the world. It's a specific way of creating inlays on fabric. And the really cool thing about it is it doesn't pull on your stitches if you do it right. And sometimes, like here, I'll just show you. So this is going to be on a cardigan. And this is what I have so far. And this is nice because it's not, sometimes you'll see people use stitches where the floats are reversed, where the floats are in the front of the work. But that's actually not what's happening here. So it's a different thing in that they've used they use strands outside of the main piece to just sort of weave in, kind of, as you knit each row. And what you get, especially with the Nutiden and the mohair, is just beautiful, because it's almost like it's, it looks like a weaving, you know? And really, it's very pretty. So I'm looking forward to showing more about this particular project. It's something that is actually knitting up pretty quickly. I'm doing it on the US 8 needle. So hopefully I will have even more to show you guys soon. But yeah, what I'm doing with this one is I'm actually knitting it in pieces, kind of. The construction is a little bit different. I'll give you this piece, and then the rest is going to be a secret. So I'm starting at the back bottom, knitting the back, and then I'm going to come up and knit the front. So it's going to be like the only part you're going to be seaming is on the side of the body. You're going to be attaching them, and then sleeves. So hopefully that wasn't too much. I don't know. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to share it. So, oh, I just knocked over my basket of goodies. Okay. So, enough about that. I hope I have more to show you later on. Really, really beautiful. Highly recommend the Nutiden. She has a shop update. If I get this up before February 1st, she has a shop update, but go to her Instagram and you should be able to find everything you need there. It is such a privilege. And what's even more amazing, if I have it, let me see if I have it. Whenever she sent me these, I ordered like 6 plates of this color Enlightenment. And then she sends a little extra, and he's just the most beautiful little plate of yarn. I'll grab it, hold on. Okay, I keep my yarn stash in shelves up here, away from little hands. So what I thought was really, really sweet, I mean, it's just a little bit, but I would love to use it as an accent color on something. And you can see where it went from Enlightenment on the inside to the colorway that came out with this set, Heartbeat. I just thought that was so sweet. It was such a happy thing to find with such beautiful wool. So there is the sweater. The other thing that I wanted to share, oh, and I did want to mention, this isn't the first time. What I guess was kind of like the inspiration for this sweater and using this technique is, and I had used the inlay technique previously in these socks. They're my Adorn socks. These are messy because I wear them all the time. And I knit these in Wool, which is a Finnish sock yarn. And yeah, so they have that same inlay technique, and you can see they're just hanging out there, and it doesn't affect the tension. Nice and stretchy. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the technique. I think it's really brilliant. And so yeah, that's that. Another thing that I'm currently working on, or that I've just finished working on, is this hat. Again, I've worn it a lot since I finished it. It's called the Sword Fern hat, and it is a design that is currently being tested right now. And it's a really interesting use of a caliper cable. So what that means is that you take these strands and you create long lines of cables. And what I did was I used them to create ferns. And they're subtle. I wanted them to be subtle on purpose. I used very small baubles just to accent, like 4 little baubles in between the ferns. And yeah, I think it's a really cozy, happy little hat. So that's currently being tested. I used Woolberry Fiber Co. their Berry Cormo. So it's non-superwash and it's really nice wool. It's really, really soft. So perfect for if you, I'm not really very sensitive to itchy wools, but if you are, you could use something like this for like a hat or a cowl or something, and it wouldn't probably irritate your skin too much. So there's another thing I'm working on. Something I finished somewhat recently, but that won't be released for a while because I finished writing the pattern, but I have to continue grading it, and I need to find a tech editor because I would love to have. I haven't tech edited my accessories yet. Haven't felt that they needed them yet, but garments though I think is a completely different situation. So I would love to get a tech editor's eyes on these garments, both of these sweaters that I'm working on before they're released out to like testers. So something that I'm building up to right now. I'm just going to do like a quick peek on this one, a couple points on what makes it sort of different or special to me, and then also just reiterate that it's going to be available probably in the fall or winter of this year. So I did a sweater, and basically the things that I really wanted in this sweater when I was knitting it was I really wanted to incorporate a steek, and I really wanted to incorporate Latvian braids. And I think I did that. I really love the look of really traditional Norwegian sweaters where the color work is like a drop shoulder. There's no body shaping, and you just have the color work that just goes right across, and it like incorporates a little bit of the shoulder, you know? I love that look, and I really wanted something like that for myself. I knit it in Quince & Co.'s Osprey, and they're 2 undyed colorways. I can't remember, Caspian and Anduin. And anyway, so I put a Latvian braid on the sleeve cuffs here, and then I put one on the shoulder. So it's like an epaulette, kind of, if that's a word that we would use. Here. I'm not going to show you a ton of it because it's still something I'm working on. And what I did that was different from something I've ever done is a steek. So with this sweater, you knit it totally in the round, just all the way up the body, and then you put steek stitches on the armholes on either side, and then you put a steek stitch here for the neckline shaping. Otherwise, I would have had to incorporate flat neckline shaping with the round, and it just made so much more sense to just steek the neckline. I think that it's really fun. I've never steeked anything before. I was terrified, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's really satisfying to like cut it and then see it, because before you cut it, it kind of looks like a weird misshapen sort of blob, especially with the steeked neckline. But then once you cut it open, it just lays all nice and it looks like a sweater, and it's just really satisfying. So that's something that I will have more for everybody later this year. But just to get a little bit of information out there about it. I think that's all of my current projects that I'm working on right now. There's something that I have in mind that I would love to knit up, and once I finish that sweater down there, the Nutiden sweater, I am going to start knitting my sample knit for a sock idea that I have. And I keep all my ideas in this little journal. Now, okay, I'm going to be totally transparent. This is my pretty journal. I have another notebook that is a much more accurate representation of what it looks like when I'm designing things. I mean, it can get intense. For example, I mean, it's chaotic sometimes, but once I get the information down, I can refine it and sort of get all of the chaos out and have it make sense. Whew, I just dropped my yarn in the pretty journal. So in the pretty journal, I had come up with a sketch for these socks. I like to save the yarn and my original sketch in this journal. I don't have the patterns in here because that's a lot of writing, but I just like to incorporate like the outline for the pattern in here so that I can look back and remember. So like in this case, I have the Woolberry Fiber Co. bit in there, and then the Nutiden for that sweater. So I had an idea for some colorwork socks. I'm not going to show you everything because I have a couple things I want to do differently, but I can show you the cuff. So I wanted to do some colorwork socks with a really nice sock yarn. That's my overall idea. I have to do the chart still, which, like I said, I'll probably do after I finish the sweater, but I got the perfect yarn for it. I ordered these Garthenor, it's Welsh, really gorgeous organic Snowdonia sock. And it's organic Romney and Hebridean wool. It's 4-ply. I have the shade Tegid and Glaslyn. Now, I know I'm probably not saying these names right, and for that I apologize. But it's beautiful. It says, grown in South Wales, the Scottish Highlands, and Southwest England, scoured and spun in Yorkshire, and hand finished in West Wales. And it's certified organic. It's just a really gorgeous sock yarn that I think is going to be awesome. So I actually got quite a bit of it because I'm very, very much excited about this. So more to come on that later on. Tea break. So those are all my current projects and future projects that I currently have in my mind. Almost. I have these that I just acquired probably a few weeks ago from Mole Yarn. And this is their Welsh Mule light, and it's a sport weight, I think, and this is in caramel. You can see all the different variations in these naturally dyed skeins. Really beautiful. What made me want to get these is that I had purchased some of these. This is also Welsh Mule light, and this is in, I believe, nutmeg. Doesn't say, but I do believe it is nutmeg was the colorway when I purchased it. And I got 4 skeins, 50-gram skeins, and so I got about 200 yards. I don't really know what I was thinking because I wasn't sure what I would do with 200 yards. So I think a shawl would be perfect because it's really soft and lofty and like, what did they call it? Crunchy. I don't know how else to put it. Crunchy. Like it feels like it's not going to be really, really heavy. It's beautiful. And I thought they would be pretty together in a shawl. I mean, look, they have a sheen to them, don't they? So I'm going to try to make a shawl out of that. I have a couple ideas, but none of them are anything that, you know, have any basis in reality yet. So a recent thing that I had gotten, I ordered from a good friend, somebody who I found on Instagram, and her account is just so heartfelt and so beautiful, and she raises these Angora rabbits. So she had a shop update, and I really love her wool. It's beautiful. She does natural dyes in Minnesota here in the States. So it's everything that she sends out smells good. I don't know how she does it. You open the package and it's just like, oh, it's so nice. This is the Angora Moose. This is the vanilla almond colorway, and she raises these Angora rabbits on her own, or not on her own, but like they're her rabbits, and she shears them. This particular skein has 80% Corriedale, 10% alpaca, 10% Angora rabbit, and it's a DK weight. And the color is really pretty. It's not white, but I think vanilla almond, I mean, that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? It's a really beautiful wool. So I have an idea for this. I was considering maybe making a little bit of Angora in my nose, maybe making a sword fern hat in a DK weight, making that available for people, because this, I mean, it's so soft. If I could buy enough to make a giant blanket, I would, because you would never want for anything softer than this. Really gorgeous. So highly recommend her shop. So that's one thing I had recently gotten. I have knit with some of her other colorways in the past. This is also another Angora mix, and this is the Drejo headband from Fibertales. This is a brioche stitch. So you can see that the colors, though, I mean, it's not just gray. There's tinges of a lighter, you probably can't see in this light. There's tinges of like a lighter blue gray in here. Really, really beautiful. And then I also had knit the title cowl that I made for myself out of her merino. This is organic merino that she naturally dyed. And it is so soft. I mean, it's just so, I would say comforting is a really good way of putting her work. Is just very comforting. She's also a really beautiful artist. So if you have time, head over there. When I purchased that skein, she sent me these really beautiful little odds and ends, which I just thought that was so sweet of her. Thank you again, Kayla, for doing this. She sent me these little bits. And it says the dark brown is espresso, which is 100% Cormo. The gray brown is wilder hair, which is 50% Cordial, 40% Cumbria, and 10% Angora, I think. And so I'm thinking the gray brown must be this one. The chocolate brown is hot cocoa, Corriedale and Angora. I mean, really, they're so sweet. They just make me happy, because I'm going to incorporate these somehow. Maybe in the new hat. We'll see. I really love them. They're cherished. So, okay. So I think that's all of the new things that I have going on. Before I go, and I know this is getting a little bit long, 35 minutes. I hope if you don't like long vlogs, then let me know and I will shorten them in the future. I imagine I'll probably be doing one a month is where I see this working. It's hard for me time-wise, because I have my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter Scarlett, and she needs me, and as little girls do, little children do, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is hard for me to find time sometimes, especially with being at home more. She's lost being at school this year. She's lost being at school this year, which has been really hard on her. My phone is about to die, so I'm going to wrap this up. But anyway, I did want to mention, like right now, the design process. I love all of it. It's all so fun and so interesting to me. I struggle with grading, but I think everyone does. The one thing that is hardest for me, it's weird. Like, I love when people knit up my stuff, right? My patterns, but it makes me so stressed whenever I first release like a test knit, because these people are kindly investing their time, their energy, and their yarn to knit something that is really only helping you, and it's just such a kind thing for people to do. So you don't want to waste their time. You don't want it to be a bad experience for them, because they're doing you a kindness. So I would say I need to work at being more accepting on myself if there's a couple mistakes. Maybe that's something I could work on in the future. So I don't know. Overall, I love it. it makes me really happy to be able to come up with something beautiful, you know, in this beautiful wool and these beautiful things with these beautiful people out there in the world. And like, to be a part of that is just such a privilege, and I really appreciate being part of this. Wouldn't change it for anything. So I think that'll do it for today. I still have a to-do list today. I really appreciate you guys for taking time out of your day to sit with me and talk about wool and knitting, and hopefully you enjoy these. If there's something that you would like me to talk about, please let me know. I'll include some nature videos, clips, pictures throughout the podcast, maybe in the beginning, maybe at the end. We'll see. All right.